Situation report, gentlemen. After being a little sick a day, we are already fine. I still have sequels because it's not normal for a person to be ill or sick one day in a day. Next it's okay, but that same day I opened stream that I shouldn't have done it, and I'm recording this just the day after, and as I say, I'm 100% operational but capable of dull. YouTube have a day where there are no videos that are the same from time to time once you don't have daily video on the channel to rest everyone is very well apart from that. Thanks for the nice ones. Comments, and today we will see the characters not like I did previously in other videos but those who have the most chance of becoming obsolete than this is how much ye. More characters in Genshin impact more opportunity there is to have as always a top and then a huge amount of characters that are simply orbiting around as filler or characters from the pile. This doesn't mean here we started very important with the disclaimers that there are no characters that with a good team, a good investment, or as for example, you will be seeing background Dory passing the abyss with the right team cannot do a good job, and a lot less when there is no PvP and the law of is not overly complicated, and also disclaimers can revive characters so as to sell, i.e. whenever they feel like hoyoversers go to implement or bring mechanical equipment dedicated supports that benefit certain reactions or particularly certain characters, and when Joyova likes them mainly with characters have many sales like Arcantes, or as much loved characters in general. Anyone of these characters can make a final plot twist and be an amazing character. Powerful, but today, by all the signs that we have the history of Genshin Impact evolution of the game, the power creep, and obviously bearing in mind that the next nation, if on the 6.x, no, they bring us stuffing like they've been talking about, and it's baby and good for 7, if it's the nation of the Creo, and if it is very possible that they work on the permafrost, and as it has not been touched so much, the air melted with NATLAN, which was in fact the only reaction with Pyro that did not benefit as much as the rest capable have been kept melted also for is Nesnaya, and has all the paint for the cryo. Let's see the characters that have the greatest potential to become obsolete in the medium and long term. In Genshin Impact, so leave a good like a good Venezuelan, subscribe to a good comment to thank me for enjoying and watching channel video. Thank you for all the love and support. Doesn't cost you anything, is free, recommended, and position video helps a lot, and just buy, comment, and give like you participate in a daily blessing draw, so explode there everyone. The video button's a good important thing, besides that I take advantage if you're eating that I don't. I forget that it always makes a lot of illusion. Welcome to guests to the directs, and also a important disclaimer. Already finished the calm intro. An important disclaimer is that this concept of obsolete is not definitive, because equally without that and Xiangling, despite that has come out a Mavuika that is a better Xiangling, or even though Yelan and Furina have come out, that is the Archon Hydro, and he's one of the best Hydro characters in general in Genshin Impact without ever being in the DA. Will be obsolete, and you notice a lot, and carrier spectacularly well new accounts, i.e. obsolete does not mean old. Obsolete does not mean 4 obsolete stars means. Surely not only are there characters who do better, but you're going to feel very limited with that character at some point to feel like you really need the prime version. The list of characters with the most potential to become obsolete. Leave me the comments too. In your opinion, or for your accounts, which is the character that you think is going faster to become obsolete, or the character you have or had in his moment and immediately you realize that it became obsolete and that it is not as interesting as you thought? Well, first I'm going to start strong with the Nahida video that like lettuce. There are 2 points, one in favor and one against Nahida. The point in favor, we all know him, and it's basically the kill. Better inside the game is the best support, and you can also play inside the field because is Catalyst, and is not enabled the famous Hyperbloom's equipment that to minimum investment is of the best of the game, and that also keeps maintaining good positions at the top of the game. Already talking about things Cone and C2 Thielings is to say, really is complicated. This claim that may become obsolete, but that's where it really resides that I can do it today. With the arrival of NATLAN, it was explained at the beginning what is most equipment they have. Combinations with inside to generate a burn to make burn reactions have actually been improved and benefited from Emily above Nahida have greater damage by. Emir Rotation is a character who doesn't have so many people, and will sometime Emily is powerful, and can also play the role of Nahida in teams outside the burn likewise because of Yi. Application, even if it does not do so much damage, makes it decent for hyperblooms and others in comparison. It's not with Emily really. Emily has her good and bad things, but the problem and the one left. Obsolete Nahida basically comes from 3 factors. Factor number 1, Nahida is staying limited to a single team lately. People only play Nahida in Hyperbloom mainly, and it's already an amazing team. But in the end, it's going to end up being a single team character. The second factor is that also, if we look in order of appearance of the Sarkans were very powerful when they came out, but chronologically, that is to say taking into account and respecting the same, the order in which they came out have gone little by little. Also staying behind Venti is already very far back. There are even 4 stars characters that overcome Zhongli right now. It's comparing a lot with Lan Raiden as a carry elector that continues to be maintained by the constellations and affection both of Hoyoverse and of the community, but Clorind to equality of Claw. Constellations already surpasses it, and then the next arc on the list is Nahida is the next Archonton. That is really going to become obsolete from here to 1 or 2 years, but after it you know that in Furina and Mavuka arrive. And there he sees it a little more complicated, but Nahida has many ballots. And a character more polished everything than without impact or rescues it, and comes out characters like 5 stars that lead to hyper maximum splendor, or if the line of no return continues, back in that the archers little by little because they cover a couple of years or 3 in Genshin impact, and then they already look like superior mechanics or power creep and new equipment or power that does not the previous one. Nahida has a lot of obsolete ballots, and I know it sounds strong for many main Ajina, but it's true. Don't worry today, it's still very powerful. It's just speculation in the future. Next characters, the Cryos. The Cryos characters in general, not only Ganyu, who will be in the fort compilation, not only Shenhei, that many people have a lot of affection for her for being the best character permafrost, but above all for its skin and its design, but the same Ayaka that was very powerful, and at the time he could compete for being one of the best teams of the game at the height of day. Inatsuma 2.5 years ago, 3 today, as you cannot play almost permafrost, and the enemies that can be frozen and others on many occasions, or a very larger move. The reality is that Ayaka is another character that has become obsolete. Ryosley is a character who is strong, coming shortly, and that the design is also spectacular, and I know that many you're waiting for her to arrive and take her out to Ryosley just because of the design, but also has been limited, and Ryosley is not that at any time had any top equipment. In fact, Permafrost competing with Ayaka will always be worse, and Melted Backwards was never a team to benefit in particular, Natla in particular, not even Mavuika specifically improved much. Asian Lin in teams of Ryosley, basically with the arrival of Snazia, as I said at the beginning of the video, it is very possible that Joyobres worked the equipment and reactions with Cryo, Melted Permafrost, and maybe some new Cryo reaction who already knows to finish of speculating, but of course everything that exists Cryo so far, I feel like it's going to be complicated. That is rescued, but that always try to sell you the new mechanics, just as happened in Natla. And Fontaine, who tried to have synergy with ancient characters, many people thought that the Gia will improve because the hydro consonance gives life and Furina makes you lose life, and Dihaya loses life and has synergy with the Archon. Never past Fontaine's goal in the end was Cloudy. Alikino Furina, who are all characters who speak in Fontaine. The goal of Natla and Eskinich, Mualani, if any gaming, but gaming came out quite a bit after all the Cryo characters, and then that Ryosley 3 versions later for Fort 4, and at the end carries Pyro in general, and the top today of Today they're literally all Fontaine and NATLAN characters didn't care about improving things. And it's going to happen the same even though many of us think it's nothing to revive Cryo is possible. That you sell 80,000 characters Cryo very rosancitos in Esnaya, or before Esnaya as speculated that maybe it is I think the Cryo element or maybe even Captain and they're working on a Captain. Cryo in some very powerful way, so very careful because mainly the Cryo characters have a tendency to become obsolete very large, but very large, less holder and but. Because Granny's for melt and carries Pyro, what she's always going to see in Genshin Impact. Jumping on the subject like when Messi scores the carries Pyro gentleman, the carries Pyro are there. Characters with the greatest potential to become obsolete and have become obsolete. Many of them are the most repeated role and element in Genshin Impact since day one on the banner. Permanent D-Luke can only DPS. The Lord of the Night always went and waited since one that I was an iconic character and badge of Genshin Impact today because you remember him when you put the 50-50 then right away in the second half of the one came clicked another. Carry Pyro that also. Power creep to Diluc and immediately began to come out a gigantic thread of carries Pyro as Juta or Joy. And a long etc. that has basically made the role of carry Pyro in Genshin Impact A. Continuous with Flu to the present day with Mavuika Bao to Pyro, which is the most powerful Genshin Impact, and the character who has broken the records of damage in Yora. Accounts most feel that almost 80% of Genshin Impact players have broken their record damage with the ulti of Mavuika, if they have the character, and basically this role is going to be the more power creep do, and that faster is going to become obsolete continuously here. Appeal to disclaimer. In principle the video end is Yuta, or with a good team passes all wings line exactly. D-Luke, even if you understand how it works and you carry it in its two strongest variants. Also, with Cyanyun, or a species of Diluc that matures more than Diluc Emily's beat. Furina Bennett, who is very strong, that team will also pass your wings and understand. The character said the same thing at the beginning of the video, but the reality is that I doubt a lot of number. One, and I'm sure they'll surprise me because I didn't expect it from Alikino or Mavuka to take it out. More carry Spyro, but after what they've explained, they're going to do so, have a lot. Watch out for the carry Spyro because while right now, Mavuika and Alikino are in the top I think. Mavuika won't last long because it's Zarkonte, but Alikino don't know how long it's going to last in the top. Oh, if you are tired of carrying Spyro but have a lot of eye with the carry Spyro, the following are the carry Selectro, because today the carry Selectro are basically apart from Thea. 4 stars or Keiching that also exists from day one are Raiden Clarin of Sino. And then, like I say, Keiching in the 4 stars. There's something out there that I'm forgetting, but it's mainly that, but it was limited to Hyper Bloom and a very closed mechanics, that is. True that 2 Ceilings is a very high competitor of the best teams of the game, but 100% depends. Of 2 C2 of 2 Arcontes and equipments that Tuchero perform a spectacular work. Claron, a versatile character but doesn't leave an electric source in the field, and that makes synergy difficult. And that there are certain teams that are more comfortable to play with Raiden than with Claron de Radid Enaid. They're characters who still have all this in their favor. They don't go over the top 7-8 of what? Best teams of the game, but as if there are in the top today 3 damn carry Spyro, and then Kinichi Mualani Nubilet et E2 carry Sidro is very possible, and I dare in this case to risk to almost ensure that it is quite possible that some carry Electro that is as broken as to enter the top 3 top 2 a kind of Nubilet Mavuika, or this species of Hyper Mega Super Carry S. Electro in the future that gets way above these, or even if Raiden already has a support dedicated that Sarah take out another dedicated support of Raiden. Raiden is an Arconte that has always wanted to buffar and improve and has always had synergies with the new characters who have gone dating, mainly Silonen and Mavuika, who have improved Raiden in this competition. Ever better said by the subject of Raiden's parrot, with Clorin being that Clorin still in his best team and equality of constellations continues to improve by little Raiden, and this is strange. But Raiden as an Archon receives infinite buffos because he knows that there's a lot of affection for the community, and that sells. But in general, the Electro carry Seether take out some strange thing that makes you Raiden is much higher already was at the time, or either the carries Electro are a few perfect candidates for suddenly coming out a character, a hyper carry Electro that will be placed directly in the top and load all previous ones, and again changing and jumping from top to top. Effectively one of the characters that has the most obsolete ballots are the Yi. Arcantes, the Archontes, as I said at the beginning with Nahida, have gone in the same order of being the most important characters, except Zhongli, that his case is strange because he is defensive in his version. In fact, 20 when came the Abysses, all of the one were floors 12, an unhealthy amount of separated enemies who came incredible. Always throw the ulti of Venti to put them together and to be able to pass these halls, and besides, as the whirlwind always had priority of intuition, Pyro took advantage and were very smart, and put a lot of Mitachul and the Huachul de Escudos. And it is the M of Shields, and who remembers it already, for the one moment nostalgia unlocked the Abysses. It was all floors 12. Full. Plus I think people on the 1.2 came Spina Dragon and had, let's say, a bit of Vietnam memories of Dragon Thorn. Thorn, spine, and mechanics is also freeze you to lose life and so on, but of course beyond that Venti no longer survive. But Zhongli past you know the whole story, that the Chinese got angry and one of the 80 billion of funnels that were in Chin and Impia, and improved Zhongli made him a little bit more versatile, let's say. But in the end he focused on being an immortal shield, and in the end the longer he spends on Chin Impact. Above all, until Fontaine that makes you lose life Fiorina and mechanics is no longer the shield but is healing to make up for all this. And overhealing, because although he no longer plays Fiorina in many equipment thanks to the arrival of Citadel, and for the melts of carries Pyro basically the same if you want a hyper-defensive contribution because the enemies shot you today. Enemies are so strong that if you have the right mechanics and you understand them very well, but if not, they send you to meet your ancestors with a little god, because basically this immortal shield has replaced by the overheating, and Zhongli is also increasingly displaced. Not only that, but that came the Jan that has arrived recently. You know how strong it is, only like 4 stars. Then Raiden, the same story that was told with the Electro Karis today, no longer enters the top 5, it stays there, swinging the top 7, top 8, top 9, and depends on many constellation. And weapons and a lot of stuff has Clorinda of competition is not today a top pick Raiden, and AC0 is very limited. And the following list of Arcantes, let's say obsolete, is Nahida. Despite that, as I say still, and to this day, it is must pull, and it is very strong, also has all the ballots. That Nahida happens to him these things. So be very careful, because the Arcantes also have life. Useful limited only by the evolution of how sales works, marketing, and this type of me. They want to sell you what's new for you to buy, and finally, and I think you all have, given that it is another pattern of this video, and that in Without Impact, there is a role that has over booking. There are a number of characters, literally more than half, currently playing a role that is required much less than the rest that are the supports. There are a number of characters in Yi Without Impact that in one way or another can do this, and yet unnecessarily people treat to force all characters to do this kind of mechanics, even though in some cases are not made for them. And I talk about DPS in general being, as I say, half or more of the script characters without impact, when you always explain that a team requires a car and 3 supports and ask you for 2 teams for the Abyss, and perhaps hope in the future more ways in it that have more non-carries equipment requirements, basically is the role that tends the most to become obsolete immediately. Even the same example of Arlecchino that became the second best carry of the game, along with Neuvillette, and the most sold character in the history of Genshin Impact up to Mavueka, has been automatically in less than a year power creep a day by Mavueka, and another carry Pyro that makes it more and better, and on top has no vital pact you can cure your team in. Instead of going with Fiorina, goes with Italy, that you lose the issue of losing life that gives you Fiorina, and gives you a shield with which defensively is much better to say DPS, and the best example is Arlecchino A. Shortest period of less than a year are the characters that have the most potential to stay obsolete. My advice to close this video all the way up is, if a carry that currently arrives, although many times we call it carry's impact, is not a carry that, as it arrives, goes directly to top 3 of Genshin Impact best carries as it currently could be, Mavueka, Neuvillette, and Arlecchino. And if you don't want to talk about Arlecchino, the other element we say is the alternative. It would be Quinish with the Dendro that we say if we did not repeat the elements like Mualan and the Hydro Neuvillette. Alikino Gaming Pyromavuika. The next item in order is Quinish in this. If it's not a carry that's going to be the best carry, at least your damn element or get in. The top 3 or 4 of the best carries of the game, my advice is that, unless you like it very much. Final is also a game of tastes and people I throw for my Monachiva because I like to discard. Any carry that comes out because it's the character that most ballots is going to have obsolete carry, and especially if that carry doesn't come out as one of Genshin Impact's top 3 carries anymore, it's going to come out having a lot of chances. It can be really fun to have 80,000 new mechanical equipment and everything you literally want, but it's going directly to get out being power creepy to an obsolete. And if there were only 20 or 30 characters and we do the Pokemon to take out all Chinese monkeys that are not specifically cheap in Genshin Impact as, I still buy it from you, but today more than 100 characters and from here to 1 or 2 years there will be 200 characters. And if I repeat that, without Impact, it was a game where everyone asked to take out all the characters he wants, so still, he catches up with Pokemon that there's 1,000. Characters, if you don't have them for 2, is that it's once a year they cost an average of $200 per a character, so these are all the characters or roles and the attribute combinations of it. Situations and above all signs to know everything that can become obsolete in the medium and a long term. Little more to leave a good like a good old media to subscribe for all the affection to video and for the channel and everything else you care a lot to have very good night Minnie and Chaito.